It is a Saturday morning. You wake up. The house is quiet. Not the good kind of quiet. The kind where you make a cup of coffee and stand by the kitchen window and realize you have nowhere to be. No one is expecting you. No one is on their way. You check your phone. Nothing. You look at the calendar on the wall. Nothing. You sit down in your chair, the same chair you have sat in 1,000 mornings, and the silence presses in a little closer than yesterday. Maybe this is your life some days. Maybe it is your life most days. Maybe you have not said it out loud to anyone because you do not want to seem like a burden or sad or someone to be pitied. But I want to say it plainly so you know I understand. This is one of the deepest forms of suffering a human being can experience. Not loneliness as a mood, loneliness as a condition, as a weather that does not change. The feeling of being not quite here, not quite seen, not quite remembered. And I also want to say this. You are not broken. You are not being punished. You are not failing at life. You are a human being in the later chapters of your life, meeting one of the oldest and hardest teachers there is. My name is Mahindasiri Thero. I am a Buddhist monk and I have been sitting with this question for many years. How do human beings find peace in the face of isolation? How do we remain alive, truly alive, when the world grows quieter around us? Today I want to share with you 5 practices, not theories, not philosophy you need a degree to understand. 5 things you can do today from your chair, in your kitchen, in your garden, that have been transforming human suffering for 2,500 years. Stay with me. Before I give you the practices, I want to spend a few minutes honoring the reality of what you are facing. Because some people will tell you, oh, just get out more, call your friends, join a club. And I understand they mean well. But that advice often lands like a small judgment, as if your loneliness is simply a failure of effort, as if you have not tried. The truth is more complicated. When you retire, you do not just lose a job. You lose a structure that organized your days, an identity that told you who you were, and a community of people who saw you 5 days a week. That disappears almost overnight. And then, over the years, friends move away, some pass away. The world does not stop, but your world grows smaller. Your children have their own lives, their own pressures, their own children to raise. They love you, but they are busy. And the distance, even when it is not physical, is real. Our bodies change. Driving becomes harder. Stairs become harder. The radius of our daily life shrinks. And American culture, let me say this gently but honestly, does not know what to do with its elders. We are a culture that worships productivity, speed, and youth. Aging in this culture can feel like becoming invisible. A few years ago, the United States Surgeon General issued an advisory, not about a virus, not about a drug epidemic, about loneliness. He wrote that the health consequences of chronic loneliness are as serious as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, heart disease, dementia, depression, a shortened life. I tell you this not to frighten you. I tell you this so you know what you are feeling is real. It is not weakness. It is not self-pity. It is a genuine wound that deserves a genuine response. The Buddha had a word for this kind of suffering. He called it dukkha. Dukkha is not just pain. It is the particular ache of wanting things to be different from how they are. Loneliness is dukkha in one of its purest forms, the gap between the connection we need and the connection we have. Now, the Buddha did not say, find more friends and your suffering will end. He said something more radical than that. He said, change your relationship to the experience itself. That is what these 5 practices do. They do not fill your house with visitors. They transform the house itself and the person sitting quietly inside it. Let us begin. The first practice is called metta. It is the practice of loving kindness. And I want to explain something before I teach it, because many people misunderstand this practice. Metta is not about receiving love. It is about generating it. When we are lonely, we are waiting. We are waiting for the phone to ring. We are waiting for someone to think of us. We are waiting to be loved. And the waiting itself becomes a kind of prison, because whether the phone rings or not is not in our hands. Metta turns that completely around. Instead of waiting for love to arrive, you become the source of it. Here is how you practice it. You can do this right now, in the chair where you are sitting. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Take one slow breath. And then, silently, in your own mind, say these 4 phrases toward yourself. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Say them slowly. Say them like you mean them. Not because you feel happy right now, but because you are planting a seed of goodwill toward yourself. Then, when you are ready, expand. Think of a neighbor, someone down the street. Maybe you do not know them well. It does not matter. Say the same words toward them. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Then the mail carrier, the woman at the checkout line at the grocery store, the child you see riding a bicycle outside your window. Expand the circle. Eventually, say it toward the whole neighborhood, the whole city, all the people you cannot see. You can do this practice for 5 minutes. You can do it for 20. The length does not matter as much as the sincerity. Now, why does this help with loneliness? Because loneliness is, at its core, a feeling of separation. I am here and everyone else is there, and the distance between us is too great. Metta quietly dismantles that feeling from the inside. Every time you send goodwill to someone, seen or unseen, known or unknown, you are practicing connection. You are not waiting at the shore for a boat to arrive. You are already swimming. Modern science, interestingly, confirms what the Buddha taught. When we practice loving kindness, the brain activates the same regions as when we receive love. The nervous system does not fully distinguish between giving warmth and receiving it. I want to tell you about a woman I know. She is 74 years old. She lives in Ohio. Her name is not important. What is important is that she was a widow, alone in a house that had once been full of children and noise and cooking smells. She came to meditation late in life, skeptical. I asked her to try metta for 1 week. Just the mornings, just 5 minutes. She told me later, Bante, after about 10 days, something strange happened. I was in the grocery store and a young man, a stranger, dropped something and I laughed with him, just for a moment. And I realized I had not laughed with a stranger in years. Nobody had called her. Nobody had visited. But she had reopened a channel inside herself, and connection found its way back through that channel. This is practice 1. Now let us talk about the mind in a quiet house. Because if you have experienced deep loneliness, you know what I am describing. The silence does not stay silent for long. The mind rushes in to fill it. And what does it fill it with? Old conversations replayed, regrets, moments you wish had gone differently, fears about the future. I wonder if anyone will notice if something happens to me. I wonder if my children even think about me. I wonder if this is just how it will be now, just me, alone, until the end. The mind, left to itself in isolation, can become a very unkind place to live. The second practice is called Anapanasati. It simply means mindfulness of breathing. And the Buddha considered it so important that he taught an entire discourse on it, the Anapanasati Sutta, which remains one of the most studied texts in all of Buddhism. The practice is this. Bring your attention to your breath, not controlling it, not trying to breathe in any special way, simply knowing that you are breathing. Breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I know I am breathing out. That is the whole practice. I want you to try it right now. Just 10 breaths. You can count if it helps. 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, up to 10. Then begin again. When your mind wanders, and it will wander, this is not a failure, this is simply what minds do, gently return. No frustration, no self-criticism, simply, thinking, back to the breath. You can do this sitting in your chair, you can do this lying in bed in the morning before you get up, you can do it in a doctor's waiting room, anywhere. No props required, no app required, nothing but your own breathing, which has been with you since the first moment of your life. Now, why is this the antidote to loneliness's particular torture? Because loneliness does not actually live in the present moment. Think about it. Right now, as you breathe, what is actually happening? You are here. You are alive. The air is moving in and out of your body. The room around you exists. You exist. Loneliness lives in the story of what used to be and what might never be again. It lives in the past and the future. The breath, by contrast, can only live right now. Every time you return your attention to this breath, this exact inhale, this exact exhale, you are stepping out of the story and back into your actual life. And in this actual moment, in this breath, you are not alone. You are present. You are alive. And that is enough. I know some of you may be thinking, Bhante, that sounds too simple. My problems are real. My loneliness is real. Watching my breath is not going to fix anything. I understand this thought. I have heard it many times. But I want to offer you this. Simple is not the same as easy. And simple is not the same as small. The Buddha chose this practice, watching the breath, as the foundation of all meditation, for all practitioners, at all levels of practice. Not because it is a beginner's technique you graduate beyond, but because it is the most direct route to the one place where peace is always available. This moment. This is practice 2. This third practice is perhaps the most difficult one I will teach today. I want to be honest with you about that. It is called mudita, often translated as sympathetic joy or appreciative joy. It is the practice of feeling genuine happiness for other people's happiness. And if you are lonely, truly, deeply lonely, you know what the opposite of this feels like. You see a photograph on Facebook of your old friend on a cruise with her grandchildren, and something tightens in your chest. You see the family across the street, everyone laughing on the front porch on a Sunday afternoon, and you turn away from the window. You hear that your neighbor's children visited for a whole week, and something in you, small, ashamed, but real, thinks, why them and not me? This is not a character flaw. This is a human response to pain. When we are not getting something we need, it becomes unbearable to watch others receive it. But here is the problem. This bitterness, this quiet, unspeakable resentment becomes a second layer of suffering. You are already lonely. Now you are also bitter. And bitterness is a very expensive emotion. It costs enormous energy. It closes the heart further. It turns the mind into a place you do not want to live. Mudita is the Buddhist practice of deliberately choosing the other door. When you see that photograph, the cruise, the grandchildren, the happy faces, you pause and you silently say, may your happiness continue. May your happiness grow. Not because you feel it immediately, not because you are performing generosity you do not feel, but because you are choosing to practice it. The way you practice a piano scale, not because it is music yet, but because one day it will be. Here is the surprising thing. When you practice mudita, the bitterness loses its grip. Not all at once, but over time. Because you are no longer fighting against their happiness, you are slowly, imperfectly including it. And I will be honest with you, I have been a monk for many decades and I still practice mudita. It is not something you complete and set aside. It is a practice precisely because it goes against a deep current in the human heart. Every time you choose it, even once, even briefly, even while still feeling the sting, you have been free for that moment. That moment of freedom is real and it belongs to you. This is practice 3. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You get up in the morning, you make breakfast, you watch some television, you eat lunch, you nap perhaps, you eat dinner, you go to bed, and at the end of the day you feel as though nothing happened, as though you were not quite there, as though the day was something to get through rather than something to inhabit. This is what chronic loneliness does to time. It hollows it out. The fourth practice is called sati, mindfulness, specifically as it is lived in ordinary daily activities. The Buddha spoke of this as sampajanya, clear comprehension of what you are doing while you are doing it. Here is the practice. Choose one activity each day and give it your full, unhurried attention. It could be making your morning coffee. It could be washing the dishes. It could be sitting on your porch and watching birds at a feeder. It could be folding laundry or watering a plant or eating your lunch alone at the kitchen table. Whatever you choose, be there completely. Feel the weight of the cup in your hand. Notice the steam rising. Smell the coffee. Hear the sounds of your kitchen. When your mind drifts to thoughts of who has not called or who has forgotten you, and it will drift, gently return. Return to the smell. Return to the warmth in your hands. Return to this. You are not killing time. You are inhabiting your life. This is an important distinction Because one of the quiet cruelties of loneliness is that it makes us feel as though our days only count when someone else is in them, as though being alone means being absent from our own life. The Buddha would say that is a misunderstanding of what a life is. This moment, you, alone, present, awake to what is in front of you, this is a life, fully lived. I know a woman, a retired school teacher in her mid-70s in New England. Sharp mind, warm heart, deeply alone after her husband died. She told me she had started to feel like a ghost in her own house. I asked her, "What do you do in the mornings?" She said, "I make coffee." I said, "Good. This week, make it like it matters." She wrote to me about a month later. She said, "Bante, I make my coffee now like it is a ceremony. I grind the beans. I heat the water to the right temperature. I pour it slowly. I sit by the window and I hold the cup with both hands. For those 10 minutes, I am not lonely. I am not a widow. I am not waiting for anything. I am just a woman making coffee, and it is enough." It is enough. Those 3 words are very old and very powerful in the Buddhist tradition. The practice of sati teaches us to find the enough that is already here, in the simplest moments of an ordinary day. This is practice 4. The 5th practice may be the one that surprises you most. It is called dana, generosity, the practice of giving. And I know what some of you may be thinking. Bante, I am retired. I am on a fixed income. I do not have money to give. But dana is not about money. It never was primarily. The Buddha spoke of 3 forms of giving. The first is material giving. Yes, money and objects. But even here, you do not need much. Leave a plate of cookies for your mail carrier. Drop off old books at the library. Put a bag of birdseed on the porch of a neighbor who you know enjoys birds. Small. Costs almost nothing. But, and this is the Buddhist insight, the giving changes something in you, not in the recipient, in you. The second form is service giving, your time, your presence, your attention. Call the library and offer to read to children one afternoon a week. Visit a nursing home, even if you yourself are in your 70s. There are people there who are older, more isolated, who have not had a real conversation in weeks. You know someone like this. Think right now. You know someone who is in the same silence you are. Call them, not to talk about yourself, just to ask, "How are you doing? I was thinking of you." And the third form the Buddha called dharma giving, sharing wisdom, sharing what you know, what you have lived, writing a letter to a grandchild about something you learned the hard way, recording a voice message for your family, telling them a story from your life they have never heard, teaching a younger neighbor how to bake the thing you bake. The knowledge in you, the lived, earned, human knowledge, is not nothing. It is not past its usefulness. It is exactly what this world needs. Now, here is the Buddhist secret underneath all of this. The Buddha said that the giver always benefits more than the receiver. Not in some abstract spiritual sense, in a very immediate, practical sense. When you give, you step out of the story of, "I am forgotten, I am useless, I am waiting." You step into a different story. "I am here, I have something, I am giving it." Every act of generosity is proof, direct, lived, undeniable proof that you are connected to this world. The loneliness that says, "Nobody needs me," cannot survive a week of dana practice. It cannot survive you making one phone call, giving one afternoon, writing one letter. So here is my challenge to you, and I say challenge because I mean it as an invitation, not a demand. This week, make one phone call that you have been waiting for someone else to make. Just one. Call someone. Ask how they are. Listen. Do not wait for the call to come to you. That is dana, and it will change something. This is practice 5. So, 5 practices. Metta, loving kindness, generating love from within rather than waiting for it to arrive. Anapanasati, mindful breathing, returning from the painful story to the quiet truth of this moment. Mudita, sympathetic joy, dissolving bitterness by choosing to rejoice in others' happiness. Sati, mindfulness of daily life, making ordinary moments worth inhabiting. Dana, generosity, breaking the illusion of separateness through the practice of giving. Not one of these requires a temple. Not one requires a teacher sitting across from you. Not one requires money or a car or a body that moves easily. They require only your attention and your willingness. They do not fill your house with visitors. I want to be clear about that. I am not promising you that if you meditate every morning, your children will call more often, or old friends will reappear at your door. What I am promising you, because I have seen it again and again in people who have sat with these practices, is this. The house will not change, but the person sitting in it will. From someone waiting to be saved to someone who is fully, quietly, stubbornly alive. The Buddha spent 6 years alone in the forest. No visitors, no family nearby. By any modern measure, profoundly isolated. He did not call it loneliness. He called it the path. I am not suggesting you are the Buddha. I am not suggesting that your loneliness is easy or that suffering is something to smile through. I am suggesting that the silence, which right now feels like punishment, can become, with practice, something else. A space, a stillness, a place where you finally hear yourself think, and where that thinking slowly becomes something you can bear, and then something you can trust, and then, in time, something that feels almost like home. Your quiet house is not a prison. With practice, it becomes your monastery. I want to speak to you directly now. If you are watching this alone tonight, maybe late, maybe with the television off and the house still around you, I want you to know something. I see you. The Buddha sees you. And more than that, the part of you that found this video, that chose to sit here and listen, that is still curious about how to live this life with more grace and more peace, that part of you is not defeated. It is not forgotten. It is very much alive. You are not broken. You are not being punished. You are a human being meeting one of life's most difficult teachers. And you have, inside you, right now, everything you need to meet it. These 5 practices are yours now. You did not have to earn them. You do not have to be Buddhist to use them. You only have to try. If this video has offered you something today, I ask one thing. Share it. Send it to someone you know who is sitting in a similar silence. That act of sharing, that thought of another person, is itself a practice of metta. It is already dana. Please subscribe to Lotus Dharma Path if you would like to continue walking this road together. We will be here every week with more teachings, more practices, more of this conversation. And now, let me close the way I close every teaching. In Pali, the ancient language the Buddha himself may have spoken, there is a blessing I offer to you now with great sincerity. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu. May all beings be happy. That means you.